Hey, how's it going, guys? This is your boy Hayes, and today we're on the 8.1. There's been some slight changes to both Frost and Unholy, which has definitely resulted in something good happening. I've also been sitting here testing it out and came up with a few macros to make our lives as Frost DKs and Unholy DKs a lot easier. So let's go ahead and jump into this and do it.
It's who we are, it's what we do, we've come so far, and now we pay the price, so don't even cry. The world is breaking down, and I cannot leave the ground.
So the first two major changes that we're going to be talking about comes with Lichborne and Transfusion. Now originally Lichborne was a Frost Death Knight ability only on the 8.1 and Transfusion was an Unholy ability only on 8.1, but as you can see on a Frost Death Knight right now, I'm rocking Transfusion and I'm rocking Lichborne. Now both of these abilities right now are on Frost and Unholy, so as Unholy you could also be rocking Lichborne and Transfusion. Now, why is this such a major change? Now, one of the things that really, in my mind, was terrible about Lichborne is obviously the slow effect. It makes you immune to CC, and it gives you a 2-second longer Icebound Fortitude, which is slightly better when it comes to defensives. But one of the major issues that we definitely saw in it was that we don't have any kind of healing increase during that slow effect, and the amount of damage we could be taking, let's say by a ranged class, is going to be insane in trying to actually survive something using this ability, which could hurt you even more. So that coming together with also Transfusion could be a definite game changer. Now, Transfusion is pretty cool if you don't know what it is as a Frost DK. Obviously, what it does is it generates 20 runic power, reduces the cost of your death strikes by 50% for 7 seconds, essentially making it cost, about 18 runic power a death strike, which is very strong. The ability lasts 7 seconds, and if you're able to get up to 80 runic power, use the ability Transfusion, you can essentially get off 6 death strikes. Now, doing it without a macro is kind of hard, I'd say. Not really necessarily hard, but kind of annoying, because you could get off 5, not hit the last one in time, and have to pay either full price for the death strike or not get the death strike off at all. So I managed to come up with a little macro concerning Transfusion and also Lichborne, since I feel like it could come in handy in tight spaces. So first one we got up here is called a Transfusion Macro. It's very simple, and all it is hashtag show tooltip transfusion cast sequence reset equals 45. We got Transfusion, and after that just death strike spam. So essentially what this macro is going to do is when you have I'd say about 80 runic power, since when you use the ability it generates 20 runic power, you use the macro. Once you spam the macro, it casts the Transfusion instantly, and you instantly death strike at the same time if you hit 2 quick taps on the macro to begin with, and then just spam the macro afterwards to completely dump the runic power into the target and get a lot of healing, like a lot of healing. 6 death strikes in a row is not something we previously would have ever been capable of doing. Just alone, the 10% healing percentage on those death strikes is going to heal you for 60% of your health. You factor in damage taken, you could be getting an 80% heal off of Transfusion, which it's on a low cooldown of 45 seconds. So doing so is going to be very strong. Now, obviously, playing something like Breath Spec is not going to be very good while running Transfusion. So if you're going to be breathing, probably don't want to be runic dumping into Transfusion at the same time, otherwise your breaths could be lacking, or your healing could be lacking concerning those two. So this is definitely really good for the obliteration spec. And of course you can use this macro for an Unholy Death Knight to do the exact same thing with death strikes, pull your runic power up to 80, and of course spam the macro with death strikes, doing quite a bit of healing as the same as Frost. This is the second macro that I managed to come up with, which is simply /cast Lichborne Transfusion death strike spam afterwards. Now the nice thing about Lichborne and Transfusion is both of these abilities do not rely on global cooldowns, so essentially you can pop both of these abilities at the same time. So let's say you're in a rated battleground, you're getting focused by 8 people or something like that, and you're going ham on somebody and they all just start drilling you. You're taking way too much damage, you're getting hit by my CC left and right, and you need to hit, let's say, an oh crap macro that heals you for, you know, a lot of health and keeps you alive, hopefully, through the amount of CC. So basically what this is going to do is throw up Lichborne. You're going to be immune to CC for 10 seconds, and you're going to take 30% reduced damage, and at the same time it's going to pop Transfusion, and during those both popping, your character is also going to Death Strike, which is going to heal you for the reduced amount of Death Strike because of Transfusion. So it's only going to cost 18 runic power. So essentially you want to do that around 80 runic power, the same thing as the other macro, and go ahead and pop that macro, and you can spam that macro to, of course, drop all your death strikes on the target and pop off 6 death strikes before the macro ends. So at the end of the day, how do these changes make me feel about 8.1 Frost DK? I'm definitely a lot more excited for it. This alone, when it comes to DPS versus DPS, is going to be huge in a Frost DK battle. But I do have a few concerns about it, especially when it comes to Frost DK. Now, when it comes to Lichborne and Transfusion, it's awesome. The survivability from it combined is going to be great. But with the changes, we lost Empowered Rune Weapon Glyph, and we also lost our Decomposing Aura, which is both, again, a damage nerf. Now, we are using Necrotic Arroyo, but if I wanted to keep my survivability buff with the 2 PvP talents, I'm going to have to switch out Necrotic Arroyo and take the buffed up Death Chill, which I would like to combine those to actually burst on a target. So I will have to break my survivability buff between Lichborne and Transfusion, which is something we've needed inside of Arena. So this is why it kind of worries me that we are getting this survivability buff, which will allow us to gain a little bit more rating inside of Arena, but we're losing damage to do it. So essentially what I'm saying is I have to choose between whether or not taking Chill Streak, which will increase my burst pressure amount, or I need to take Necrotic Arroyo, which will increase my overall and of course increase my burst slightly, but it won't be as nearly as effective as Chill Streak during the burst. So that's where kind of, I guess you could say, my concern is the fact that Frost DKs have to choose between overall consistency and now burst between Chill Streak and Necrotic. Now obviously I could switch out Lichborne or Transfusion in terms of adding extra damage, but it's also going to cost me in terms of survivability, because losing both of those is going to be a huge loss in terms of surviving, having 2 capable breakers of, let's say, CC or burst on you in comparison to only having 1. So you can call me crazy for saying this, but if I had a choice kind of to change one simple thing around and then I'd be content with Frost DK in 8.1, since we made Lichborne and Transfusion for both Frost and Unholy, what I think we should do with this talent is combine them. So basically, essentially, we only have to use 1 PvP talent to have Lichborne and Transfusion. I'd be able to take, of course, Necrotic Arroyo, not take an extra 8% damage nerf to my class if I want to actually have burst running Chill Streak, and at the end of the day, I would be happy. And I can imagine a lot of other DKs would be happy too. So that's gonna kind of conclude this video up. That's kind of to sum up the ideas that I have for future Frost DKs and what's going on and what's current on the 8.1. Leave a like if you guys enjoyed this video. Comment down below if you have any questions or concerns. And of course, until next time, this was your boy Hazed.